Yeah, Frank here. He's got his own billiard room.
Yes, it's what do you call it, Kramer?
The billiard room.
No.
The name.
The billiard? Not the billiards. It was. Come on, Rudy. Come on. We call it the
place to be.
The place to be. Yes, it's the place to be.
Then I shall be there.
Now, it's time. Live and in living color.
The Grandy Man can.
Time to play the game.
Well, you always left me satisfied and smiling, so.
That's what she said.
Why do I want this?
Yeah.
Because I want to make bank, bro. I want to get ass. I want to drive a Range Rover.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is now time for the Place to Be Podcast. And now your hosts, Justin Rosero and Scott Criscolo.
And I buy the bar, double round the crown, and everybody's getting down in this town. Ain't never gonna be the same. 'Cause I saddle up my horse and I ride into the city. I make a lot of noise, 'cause the girls, they are so pretty. Riding up and down Broad.
Place to Be Nation, what it is. I am your co-host, Justin Rosero, and this is the Place to Be podcast. And as always, joining me, the man who is never fearful to save a horse by riding a cowboy, straight out of Newark, Connecticut, and that is Scott Criscolo. Scott, how you doing tonight?
Good evening, Mr. Rosero. Pleasure as always, sir. We got a full docket tonight, and full is an understatement.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
a lot of emotions tonight.
We both have some vitriol to spew. You have some extra vitriol, and we've been prodded a little bit by some of our listeners, and I'm going to prod you, and we have been promised an epic retort by you, so I am looking forward to your rantings, but we're going to save that because, as usual, as become our format, we're going to start off with a little wrestling and then kind of slowly merge into the sports scene and then close out with some feedback. We will read some feedback as we go along if it's pertinent to our topic, so staying with that theme, we will kick off wrestling, and of course there's one story that was the biggest news of this week. And of course, that is the news of Christian. When we last spoke with you last week, he had just won the World Heavyweight Championship by defeating Alberto Del Rio in a ladder match at the pay-per-view. But just 2 nights later at the SmackDown tapings, they had him lose that title to Randy Orton. Now, there's a lot of stories out there floating around. Dave Meltzer has reported that Del Rio was originally booked to win the match and lose to Orton. He was going to win Sunday, lose to Orton Tuesday, to air Friday. Vince made an audible within the couple days leading up to that show because they wanted to have an Edge and Christian moment before switching the title to Orton because they want Orton to be the main guy on SmackDown. Now, let's qualify this right away. I don't know if you've watched the match yet or not. It was an excellent match, tremendous TV match. Can't say anything wrong about that. And if anything, hopefully this motivates Orton. And it also looks like they're going to have a Christian heel turn coming out of this as well. So maybe they will be programmed with each other and Christian will eventually get a run with the title. But let's talk right now about our reaction to that switch and, whether it was right, wrong, what they were thinking. And then we'll read some of our reader feedback on the topic as well. So why don't you give me your initial thoughts on when that happened?
Well, initially, it's I'm not totally surprised. And what really bothers me is that 2 things. Number one, I understand that, look, why don't we just call a spade a spade? SmackDown, as much as we don't want to say it, SmackDown is the B brand. I hate to say it. We all try to argue it for the last 11 years. It's never going to, it's that's just the way the company thinks. And that's unfortunately how a lot of the viewership thinks because SmackDown's on network television. SmackDown's taped. It's the B show.
Well, it's not on network television anymore.
Well, now it's on cable, but it's taped.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. It's taped.
Yep.
So it'll always be the B show. Nothing cool will ever happen on SmackDown because you already know about it. Having said that, I understand that Orton was probably told, because the whole big rumor going into the draft was that Cena was going to move to SmackDown. Orton went instead. So, of course, they cut him a deal. Look, go to SmackDown and you'll be World Heavyweight Champion. I'm fine with that. That's fine. It's understandable. He's a great wrestler. He's a great talent. I have no problem making a deal with him to be World Heavyweight Champion. No problem with that at all. 2 days? 2 days. Seriously, 2 days?
I mean, I don't get why they couldn't at least let him carry it to the pay-per-view and have a title change there.
Right. But I'm even saying, how about a few pay-per-views? Have Orton feud with Mark Henry. Have Christian face Del Rio or something. At least have him for a couple of months, guys. And I'm sick and goddamn tired of us being thought of as sheep. That's all the creative thinks the WWE universe is. You might as well call it the WWE cattle ranch. Because that's what they all think the viewers are, is cattle. What cracked me up was there were people saying things like, oh, WWE management was surprised. I mean, the fans wanted Orton. No, they wanted Orton to be in the match, not win the match. There's a difference.
I will say this, though. Orton did get a pretty big pop for winning. I'm not defending the move. I'm just saying, it wasn't the worst choice. It just sucks that it was, it happened to Christian, a guy who waited so long to win that title.
Right. But here's the thing. Who were the three choices? It was Orton, Mark Henry, and who's the other one? Remember, there's a choice. 3 number 1
Great
contenders. Great Khali. Please. It's not like, okay, who do you want to face Christian? Randy Orton, John Cena, or The Rock? Yeah. I mean, come on. You picked not a hump, I shouldn't say that about Mark Henry. Mid-card guy, Mark Henry.
Well, 2 guys that can be main event guys, but they're not right now. They need to be
rebuilt.
They're not
right now.
And they're planning on turning Khali heel.
Yes.
To make him a threat as
I
well.
Thought he was supposed to retire. Wasn't
I don't know what's going on. That guy, he's like,
his knees were shot or something. I mean,
he's like, remember all those Kane rumors like 5 years ago, where every other week Kane was retiring? That's kind of what Khali is now. Actually, I might as well let's read this right now. Word from sources within WWE is that the current angle involving Great Khali, Ranjit Singh, and the new SmackDown superstar Jinder Mahal has been set up with the intention to turn Khali into a heel. The idea is that he's become too soft as a babyface, which has rendered him unable to be the monster that he once was. They're setting up for Khali and Mahal to be a heel tag team as well. So that's kind of where they're at there. Since we're on the SmackDown title picture.
Yeah, I don't even know who this. I haven't seen. I don't know who this Mahal kid is, so I don't even know who he is. But that's fine. But again, the Kane rumors were because he was at the end of his career and nobody knew what was going on. I thought Khali's knees were shot or his back. He can barely walk, for Christ's sakes, when he goes when he tries to get into the ring.
Well, maybe that's why it's a good theory. Maybe they're thinking they'll hide him in a tag team, almost colossal connection formula. You know what I mean? Just kind of let this Mahal guy do the work, and then let Khali come in and hit the big strikes for the win.
Well, this Mahal kid may be good, but let's face it, he's no Haku.
Hey, Haku's a beast.
Exactly. But anyway, my point is, and we went off the subject, my point is that the creative really thinks we're that dumb. But you all wanted Orton. No, we wanted Orton to be in the match, not win the match. Please stop treating us like we're all John Cena 12-year-olds. All right? The creative are treating the WWE universe like a big cattle ranch. Come on, guys, let's go. Randy Orton, dangle. Let's all walk over. Yay, he wins. Don't worry about Christian. He'll be around.
And the sad thing is, you can make Orton your top face without having him win the title immediately, because you can just have the two of them kind of do like the respect to top faces thing, where maybe Christian shows a little jealousy that Orton's getting the favoritism, but Orton wants the title, and you kind of have them save each other, and then maybe Christian retains, gets a kind of a fluky win at this pay-per-view, and then they fight again, and then Orton finally, you could have done something like that.
Exactly.
To really build a story. This seems like a waste anyway. They kind of wasted a title match,
It was just it's just Vince doesn't like Christian. Period. And you know what? As the days go on, I don't know if he finally needs to go play, checkers at the home. I don't know what the deal is, but Vince is really, really starting to lose his grip on reality, because you want to make the universe happy, yet at the same time, you just won't let anybody do anything. And creative management is really finally starting to treat everybody like the same drolls that go to the shows. I'm sorry, I hate making fun of other wrestling fans, but that's what it comes down to. Everybody just cheers, and the younger fans just kind of, and it's not their fault. They're 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. They just want to have fun. Here's the thing. Are we turning into the kind of wrestling fans that we hated in 1996? I certainly hope not. But this is just...
No, I don't think so. I mean...
this is just inexcusable.
Yeah. It is. And, it's not even that it's Christian. It's the idea of the whole thing. Anyone of Christian's ilk or level, I think, would be this similar problem. And it's just that you took such a great moment with him and Edge and just kind of cheapened it. Yep. And at least if they used a heel to build heat on somebody that did it, you know what I mean? Like, if Del Rio had come out on Friday and beaten Christian and taken the title and said, hi, your whole celebration with Edge was for nothing, whatever. But to have Orton do it, you don't even gain that advantage of gaining heat on the situation.
Right. And then to make it worse, they're going to have Christian turn heel. So now you make him look like now you're making him look like the crybaby. So the marks who don't understand all this, and there are some still out there, will be like, "Oh, Christian, stop being a big baby." So they're going to make him turn into the bat. I mean,
Or I think they wanted to. It seems like they want to maybe turn him heel anyway, and that's what I'm getting out of it.
But I'm wondering what kind of main event heel he'll be. No, we can't. We're at the level now where we don't need the Chris Jericho ass cream jokes. That's not the level of heel we need.
I don't think he'd be like that. I think he'd get a solid push as a heel actually, because who else is on SmackDown right now? It says Mark Henry and Sheamus. I mean, really, that are prepared to be a higher level heel.
I wonder where does this leave Sheamus? Do we immediately see a Sheamus Orton program now?
No, I think we get Orton, Christian for maybe at least one more show, and then probably Mark Henry. I don't think Sheamus for a little while. I think they'll have him work the mid card, and he had another great match with Daniel Bryan on SmackDown this week, continuing their feud. So I think eventually they're going to get the IC title off Barrett and probably put it on one of those guys. Yeah. And I think Sheamus will just be upper mid card for a little while until Orton needs a new contender. But I think SmackDown actually has a lot of intrigue around it because it's such a kind of a weird roster just to see who they use. And actually, I enjoyed this week's show. And that was a great match. It just sucks with the circumstances around it. So let me just read quick some comments from our readers here, and then maybe we can talk about that. Some knee-jerk reaction. The first couple were Todd Weber said, "Fuck Vince, I'm done." And then Jeremy Nichols said, "I think the most obvious question about the world title switch is, and yes, I'm asking it, what the fuck are they thinking? They figure it was either a panic move. He figures either a panic move or they gave Randy the belt in exchange for him working Tuesdays." And said they could have at least waited for the pay-per-view. And then Jeremy came back before the show and said, "Now I know you guys are going to respond to the Christian stuff, so here's my question, rather than the hate-filled one I had last week. We now know that last week's SmackDown, where Christian lost the title, is currently the lowest-rated episode of 2011. The number's down 12% from the last episode, per NoDQ.com. With that being said, could this just be due to people protesting the show, to the leaked title change, or just a coincidence?" I'd say maybe a little bit of both. I think there's probably a few reasons. One, maybe people really aggravated with the Christian situation. Two, I would say we're kind of entering that summer doldrums that the WWE always, happens to see post-WrestleMania, post-Backlash, Extreme Rules. If you look at the draft, it did deplete that roster outside of Orton, so that could be part of it too. And part of it's just that it's starting to be nicer out. It's starting to be summertime. People start doing stuff more on the weekends and at night. So I think there's multiple reasons. But I'm sure the Christian thing did play a role, though.
They have the SmackDown rebound on Raw right now. I just realized something. Why did those three have a triple threat match?
That's not how we do things on here, player.
I mean, come on. Come on, Mac Militant. You're better than that. You're the master of matchmaking.
By the way, how amazing is this dude is still GM of SmackDown? That's quite the amazing run when you think about it. I mean, he's surpassed Bischoff at this point for longest GM run.
I know. I mean, he's had his spots. I mean, they didn't have, he faced, he had Vicky in there for a while. But in terms of consistently being around, he's been here since 2004. And
he's been GM for most of the time. I mean, of the 7 years, he's at least been GM for at least 5 of them, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, when Vicky was running it was...
a year probably.
Yeah, it was pretty much when Edge was the champion. I'm just watching the clips right now of this. This match does look fantastic just on the clips alone.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, I haven't seen anyone say it wasn't a good match. So, it's just too bad. It was just poor timing on their part. I don't get the reason why they had to rush. I'm not even upset that they put. I understand why they wanted on Orton. I just wish they would try something new. I wish they just let Christian run with it for a couple of months and see what happens. Just see what happens. This is what we talked about in previous episodes, that they just seem like they don't want to let these guys just take the chance to run the ball. That's all they preach about. Hey, we're giving you the ball, you got to run with it. And then they finally do, and then they take it away from him so quickly. Why not give him 2 months and say, hey, if you move the needle or you get a good response and you move merchandise, we'll keep it on you. If not, we're giving it to Orton. Why not just, what do they got to lose? Really, what do they got to lose?
And why I understand making a deal with Orton. I understand that. It makes sense. But 2 days? Was Orton going to bitch that much?
No, I doubt it was even. I honestly don't think it was even part of a deal. I just think they want him to be the Cena of SmackDown. They want him to be the top face, and they just wanted the title on him. That they don't think Christian's a main guy, and that's just how it is, unfortunately. I think eventually Christian's gonna get another run with that title. I think it's gonna be as a heel. I don't know how long it'll be, but it might be one of those little October to December reigns that guys seem to have every now and then.
Yeah, and
heels like Jericho a few years ago when he won it, late in the year and then lost it back. So that's kind of maybe where I see him heading throughout this year.
Yeah, and he may actually be a lot more creative, and I think he'll be a lot more fun to watch in terms of promo cutting and that stuff. He's usually pretty good like that. He's usually pretty creative. I liked him when he was the Instant Classic in TNA. I thought his heel run was great in TNA. So look, I don't like crying over spilled milk. We're not going to, we're usually good at trying to find silver linings. Justin and I are usually we're both fairly big proponents of glass half full. So if you're going to take positives out of this, maybe an attitude change will help Christian's run in the long run, and maybe he will get a title shot because I can't honestly see them. If there's any other heels on the show, I just can't see them giving it to Mark Henry. I just can't. It's just not going to happen.
I don't get is why didn't they just have Del Rio win and lose? I know you kind of don't want to cheapen Del Rio's first reign, but whatever. I mean, at least then you're building Orton into a major face for taking out Del Rio and ending his reign so quickly. It's like there just seems to be no winner with the situation they went with. Christian has this emotional win and then he gets jobbed out. Orton defeats a guy that, most of the fan base was behind as champion. So what does he gain from it? I mean, The only reason I can think of is that they wanted to do a Christian heel turn, but they could have went about it a much different way.
Exactly. And it's just the continuing overall and we got a few other wrestling notes I want to bring up that just kind of correlate to this. Just the people running the company are just treating the universe like cattle. Mm-hmm. Just here, come on, you'll like this, we promise. Look, there's Cena. Look at him. As they're dragging him over to some other crappy storyline. See, Cena's over there, glow in the dark shirt. It's just I just feel like the fan base has just turned into sheep. And it's just it's disappointing. And I know we keep talking about the Triple H thing, and we'll mention him in a little bit. He's already got his hands on a pet project, so we'll talk more about that in a few seconds. But the base of it is, oh look, there you go. Cena's talking to Zack Ryder in the hallway. Everybody can love that now. See, creative will say, see, we have Zack Ryder on Raw. Perfect example. There he is. He's talking to John Cena. Everybody, yay! You know what I'm saying? That's a perfect example. Not even being funny. That's a perfect example. Everybody bitches and cries about Zack Ryder. Look, he's talking to Cena in the hallway. See, we got him on Raw. Now shut up. That's exactly what it is. So
I think Raw actually has an interesting mix of guys, but they're just in a weird spot right now, and it's just one of those things. We'll see. I mean, I said this before. I'm going to say it again. I'm not one to say I'm done. I'm not going to watch. I mean, I'm just always going to watch. We may not have the enthusiasm of Graham Cawthon, but we're also not going to have the bitterness of some of the other people. Just around the net and other friends we have. So
Graham's such a happy guy.
You would have thought we were in the midst of the wrestling boom in 2000 when we talked to him the other night.
That's pretty funny.
So all right, let's move on. And speaking of the future and stars, I wanted to talk quickly about the Miz because we did get a comment from Kieran, our buddy Kieran, from
Scott.
Yes, from Scotland. Said, where does the Miz go after this feud with Cena? Now, I did see some worry out there on the internet about the Miz. Wondering if he's done now, or what they think of him. And I can tell you, from information I've read and seen and heard, and as well as my own eyes, that I don't think he's going anywhere. The fact that they had him retain the title at WrestleMania, is a big show of faith. B, he kicked out cleanly of Cena's attitude adjustment last week on Raw. Another big, show of faith.
Yep.
And also, Meltzer and a few other people are reporting that they are very, very high on Miz still because they like the way he handles himself in interviews representing the company. He's a well-known name and face. He's a good-looking guy, young guy. He, just a good face for the company. So I don't think he's in any trouble of being deep pushed or buried. I just think they wanted the title on Cena. I don't know if they're gonna have him keep it till the Rock match or if he'll lose it and gain it back before that match or what the plan is. But that's probably why they took it off Miz now. I think maybe Miz would actually have been a good fit on SmackDown, but I understand why they want to keep him on Raw, just to keep his face in the mainstream.
Yeah, and, it's kind of a double-edged sword because on the one hand, we were just talking about Christian, how he needs the title. Well, right now, The Miz is kind of in a weird spot because if they are going to really put some teeth into The Rock and Cena over the next, 9 months, the title might actually make this a little juicier. And, last week on The Rock's birthday party show on Raw, Cena did go in there and stick the title in his face.
Now, do you think that match needs the title?
No, but if you're going to mention it, don't do. See, here's the perfect example again. Don't dangle it and then yank it. Right. I don't think that's right either.
Do you think it makes? Because now this is an argument I've heard on a couple different places. that it makes the rest of the year, the pay-per-views, all the title matches, anticlimactic because you know Cena's going to be going into Mania with the title if they keep kind of pumping it as a title match. I disagree because I think it's kind of similar to the Ric Flair angle where, like, they said, you know, if you lose, it's your last match, where you knew he wasn't going to lose, but there was enough there that maybe he could. You know, so I don't think it hurts knowing that Cena wants to bring the title to Mania. I mean, obviously, it's his goal to want to be champion until then. I mean, that's, you know, makes sense in the kayfabe world as well.
Well, exactly. But here's another problem you have. Months after months after months after months, the babyface Cena is just not going to fly. If Rock's only going to show up once in a while, he's never going to be booed. And apparently there's discussions about this, and Vince is absolutely adamant about not turning Cena heel. And it has nothing to do, and I know why it is. We're not sheep. It's got nothing to do with the creative. It has to do with the merchandise. Mm-hmm. They think that if Cena turns heel,
not even
all those gaudy glow-in-the-dark shirts will not be sold anymore, and kids will stop caring.
And not even merchandise, but just like he is the Hogan of now. And whether or not, I don't think he's nearly as big as Hogan, but he's the face of the company that they use for all their PR, all, you know, merchandise and everything else. And yeah, they don't want to lose that right now until they're absolutely forced to do it. And I don't think they're going to turn Rock heel either. I think they'll just let the fans choose. It's more epic anyway. These kind of matches are more epic if you just let them kind of be themselves and not shoehorn them into a specific role.
So you almost kind of treat it like Hogan Warrior.
Yeah, and Hogan Rock. Well, I mean, Hogan was a heel in the Rock match, but once it started, he wasn't. So I think, you know, when you have these big-time matches, you don't... Yeah, Shawn and Undertaker, you know, same kind of thing, where, you know, they may show some heelish tendencies, but they're not actually, you know, being positioned as heels.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that you know, the Miz just doesn't get lost in the shuffle. I think that it will be a double main event at SummerSlam. I think it will be Cena versus Del Rio and Miz versus Rock. That's what I think they'll do at SummerSlam.
I'm thinking they may have Del Rio win the title and then, you know, keep it to like the Rumble and have Cena win it back heading into WrestleMania. I don't know if they're going to keep the title on Cena all the way through.
How can you?
Yeah, I mean, you know? It's going to be tough. He's basically just going to have him run through and crush everyone on the way there. So it'll be interesting. But
you know what I find funny? You know what would even be better? How about this? You have, and this is where you can actually make the title kind of, you know, make sense and not take away from the feud. You have Del Rio hold the title through the fall, have Cena and Del Rio at the Rumble, and have Rock cost Del Rio the match. Have Cena win the title, and the next night on Raw, Cena looks at him like, you know, and try to pretend to be coy. What were you doing last night? He goes, "You think I just want to beat you for my health?"
Yeah.
You know?
But now the only problem is if you have the title on the line in that match, does that give away a Cena win?
No, why not have Rock win?
Yeah,
what's the matter?
I guess you could. Yeah.
Why not? It's not like Stone Cold where, and I'm calling him Stone Cold, Todd. I'm not calling him Steve.
That up.
We'll get into that later. It's not like Stone Cold where you're you know, you have a short shelf life. It's not like Rock is hurt or anything. And screw it, if he wins it, he hangs out. You know, like Hogan, have a 1 or 2 month run. Why not? You know, will they do it? No, because creative is just retarded right now. But they could. There's no need. There's no reason why Rock couldn't win. And why would you not have Rock win the main event of WrestleMania in Miami? If he even go, and you know, in the Hall of Fame, that whole weekend could be all about him. And you know, he wins he's the showpiece guy in the Hall of Fame in Miami, which would be dumb not to do, and then have him win the title. Why not? Who cares at this point? We're just kind of going along as we go. Do something like that. It's not, you know, Rock's in good shape. It's not like he's 50 or anything, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on his movie commitments and whatnot. But
exactly. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But if he can, why not? There's no harm in it, you know?
Well, it'll definitely be interesting to see where they go. And, you know, it might behoove them, too, to have Cena hold the title for a while, maybe even until Survivor Series, and then you have kind of a shot, like, get to the point where they're like, you know, there's no way they're going to take it off him at this point, and then take it off him. You know what I mean? Just kind of add that extra little bit of a shock to it.
Exactly. So. Time will tell. Again, I don't know what, you know, we don't know what creative or the management or whatever you want to call them, the collective, I don't know, from day to day. So I don't know. I mean, they could change their mind tomorrow, but right now I'll say that the double main event on the Raw side of SummerSlam will be Cena Del Rio and Rock Miz. I think a Rock Miz feud, even for that 1-2 month stretch, would be absolute gold.
And I agree. It's just, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I could see them doing it, but part of me is like, I don't know if they want to blow Rock's. I know the match is Rock Cena, but I don't know if they want to have him wrestle before that match. You know what I mean?
No, I maybe, but I'm trying to give Miz the benefit of the doubt because what the hell is he going to do then? If you take him out of the title match, you got to give him something juicy. You don't want to stick him anything lower than like the second notch because then everybody's going to bitch.
No,
so,
I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting. They could always make it a 3-way match. I mean, if they had to as well.
That's entirely possible as well.
But now there's also another possibility of a big match for Miz, and I'm only bringing that up because I was just informed. We're both watching Raw, but we have obviously the sound off.
Right.
Apparently, there was a Jericho reference by Lawler. I guess Miz calls Riley a troglodyte, which is a word obviously Chris Jericho used to always use.
Yes.
And Jerry Lawler referenced him. And now that he's done with Dancing with the Stars, Jericho has said in interviews that he doesn't want to come back till he has a new character in mind and he's worked it out. But you know him, he's always working everyone, so he could show up at any moment. So maybe he comes back over the summer as a face and feuds with Miz. I mean, that could be a good program to keep Miz busy.
Chris Jericho's turned into? It just came into my mind. Chris Jericho has turned into a pop culture friendly Brian Pillman.
Yes, basically, he's always working everyone.
He's working something over on somebody with a smile on his face, not a middle finger in your face. I'm saying that because I have that because in the 24/7 tape I've been watching in the other room, it was an episode of History of ECW, and it was an ECW episode from the day after he debuted when they had this fan cam, and it was Dreamer against. Was it Dreamer against Shane or Shane Douglas? I don't know. And Pillman came through the crowd and whacked him with that cane, and him and Shane Douglas were fighting on the ramp, and Pillman was on my mind. So, and the way you just said, work in the crowd, which is pretty much was Brian Pillman's life the last 3 years of his life.
Yep.
So, but hey, you know what? Jericho comes back, that obviously opens up a whole new dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Rock Jericho again, I'll pay to see that.
That's
not wrestling, but I mean just on TV together. I'd pay to watch that.
All right, so let's move on to some other wrestling news here before we move along. I want to talk quickly about Kharma, how you see her push going so far, and do you think this is something that's going to hold up, or are they going to lose faith and get bored with it quickly? My favorite part is her music. Sounds like a straight up early '90s evil wrestling jam. I love it. So that's always winning points for me. I like how she's just murdering the divas left and right. It looks like they're setting something up eventually with her and Kelly. Because again tonight Kelly kind of dodged her and she took out Eve. So I think she's being booked very strongly right now. To the point, and I like how they explain why the divas don't run away. Cole keeps saying how they're like locked in a trance, like kind of fixated on her. She marches to the ring, so I think that's a good explanation too.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want them all to look like cowards. I mean, first of all, in answer to the first question, I think her every time she's on camera, she just makes Raw better. This woman gets it.
She definitely has a star. She has a star aura about her. I'll give her that. She definitely does.
She's got it down. She had it down in TNA. She knows she's not pretty. She knows she's not hot. So she's going to do she's going to use her strengths, which is, you know what, girls? I don't look like you, but I'm the one that's going to sit here and turn you into a pretzel. And she's just destroyed everyone. And the music, you know what it has? It has that kind of
Papa Shango feel.
It's like part Papa Shango, part Waylon Mercy, part Sid.
Yes, it's a good combination.
Which is a tremendous 6-man tag team, just to let you know.
She sees the lives are going to be in Kharma's hands at the beginning of it.
He'd be a good manager. Hell, we should have him come out. He should be your manager. It'd be tremendous.
I want him to manage my life, let alone her career.
As long as he cuts that Gallagher hairdo. Anyway, no, she's been tremendous. And and then you ask the second question, which is open-ended. Are they going to get bored with her? Obviously, knowing them, who the hell knows? But Vince will say, you know what, I don't like her. She's too ugly. And then they'll either fire her or she'll be buried or God knows. Or they'll turn her baby. The worst thing to do right now is make her a face.
I'm nervous they're going to say she's in love with Kelly. That's what I'm afraid of.
Oh, God, that would be... No, that's not... No. Go back to, Dawn Marie and Tori. I can handle that. No, I can't handle that.
I meant to tell you, because I know you're a big fan of that segment they do in the hotel room at that. What pay-per-view was that? Armageddon or whatever show that was.
What is that? It's either Armageddon 03, Rumble No. Is it Armageddon 03 or no? It's not
Armageddon 02, I think.
Is it Armageddon 02, Rumble 03, something like that? Yeah,
one of those. I was listening to Dave Lagana, and he actually said the original version of that was even edgier. and that Vince, they happened to catch him at they said at that point he always like changed his mind, and then at that point he said they couldn't show the more risque one, so they showed the one they showed. So I mean that was pushing it as it was. Imagine, I wonder what the unedited one was like.
Dave, if you have it, put it on. I'll take it. But
he's actually, I don't know if you've been following any of the stuff he's been doing on his I Want Wrestling website, but he actually seems like a pretty interesting dude. He's got a lot of stories. I've been listening to some of his shows, and I was actually thinking maybe I'll try and contact him once we get a little bit further along with ours and see if he'd come on. He seems pretty open to doing interviews, so even if we get him on for a quick, ask him a few questions, I thought it'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, no, I think I haven't had a chance. I keep forgetting what the site is. I know, what is it? I Am Wrestling? Is that what it is?
I Want Wrestling.
IWantWrestling.com. I'll have to take a look at it and listen to some of his stuff. But yeah, remember Dave wrote SmackDown for what?
Yeah, he was there from like 01 through like 07 or 06 or 07.
Well, he got fired. Stephanie fired him because she found he allegedly texted something to somebody.
That might be the story out there. The one that he tells is that he wanted to go work on one of the video games, but he held off, and then he got he tells like some convoluted version of it.
Yeah, it's some story, sure. but all it came down to Stephanie cut him loose. And I think it also has something to do with Paul Heyman. It was it was. There were too many chips to try and match it up. But the guy knows his stuff, and he's been there a long time, and he's a fascinating guy. We'll definitely try our best, folks, to get him on for a future episode because he'd be great to listen to. In answer to your two-part question, have I loved it so far? Absolutely. She's a monster, and that's what the Divas division needed something to kick ass on.
Well, it's so frustrating, too, because it's like, can't they just see someone that looks different or, brings this aura and this star power to her? You know what I mean? Like, I wish they would notice that not everyone needs to look and be the same. If you have more people that have that different look, like she has, that's what's making her look like a major deal,
Exactly. And by the way, I'm just watching they have a promo right now for the 27 DVD, which comes out tomorrow, and Sunny just looked amazing. She's doing awesome right now, awesome like The Miz. But whether they keep it that way, I'm not answering that. I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole because God knows what they're thinking. Again, Vince is one of these ones who one day looks and goes, God, she's ugly. Get rid of her. Who knows what he's thinking right now. I'm very scared right now about the hamster running in the wheel in his head right now because I don't know. I don't know. But I've loved it so far. She's been perfect. She is. She's part Sid, part Waylon Mercy, part, I like to say Papa Shango. It's pretty funny. But yeah, she's got that aura about her right now that's making the show special. You anticipate wanting to see her come out and throttle somebody. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes the show great. It's just whether or not they have the staying power to keep it going.
All right. Speaking of auras, our final major news bit is that of the Undertaker. Now, word has leaked that not only did Michelle McCool obviously retire to spend time with him, the word is that he's basically done. And that he has 1 or 2 WrestleMania matches left in him, and that's it. So he seems like he's done as any sort of weekly character, any kind of semi-monthly character. So I don't think we're going to see him again probably till February at the earliest. What do you think now, knowing that next year could be it for him? Do you still see him facing Triple H in a rematch? Or do you see them kind of jumping the gun and having him fight someone else? I can see them doing Triple H and then coaxing him for one more the following year to face Cena. But if he only has one more in the tank, I'm not, I hate to give him Triple H a third time, but at this point they have to cash in on what Triple H said, right?
Well, yeah, but here's the other problem. If you wanted to end the streak to end with an even 20, well, you're kind of screwed because Cena's already locked in next year. Right. So is Triple H the only other option? And he's not going to win. As much as I'd love it, he's not going to win. So then what? Then he just retires and that's it? And then you don't cash in on Taker Cena? You have to cash in on Taker Cena.
Right. So maybe he's got 2 more. Maybe he's got 2 more matches in him. I don't think they're ruling that out. Maybe a year of rest in between each gets him to the next one. It seems kind of funny that they'd end it at 21-0 and not 20-0. That's the only thing.
Or do you do this? Do you just have him skip the next 2 WrestleManias? Do you not even have him come back next year? Have him skip the one in Vancouver. Maybe have one match somewhere in the middle.
No, if he's going to wrestle, it's going to be a Mania.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, you just don't have him wrestle at all for the next couple of years. have people remember him, and then have him and Cena at 30 at the Garden, and that's it.
I mean, it sounds good in theory, but now, even though he's going to have 2 years of rest, now you're talking about an even more older Undertaker. You know what I mean? Now he's aging even more at home,
Right.
rusty. I don't know. I think in a perfect world, I say you do the Triple H match one more time, only because they've already set the seeds for it, and then you do Cena in 2 years. At 29, so that's probably what maybe their long-term goal is. So I'm, it depends. It depends on how he feels come March, but it just seems like, overall he's not going to be, and it's kind of sad because he just kind of disappeared now, and that's it. But I guess it's fitting for his character that he didn't get like one last run or anything like that. This is kind of just it.
Yeah.
But as far as a weekly guy on SmackDown or Raw, I mean that seems to be done.
I know they've done the Tombstone DVD, and I know they've done the Deadliest Matches DVD, but I would really like to see a good, solid, like a 4-disc, beginning to end with some cool stuff and, a free T-shirt or some kind of nonsense. If he's going to go out in if he's done, they really need to cash in on fans like us and put something out really nice and really. Oh, here's Cole in the ring now. We'll see what this announcement is shortly, but something really nice and really pretty. Not pretty, but, really fancy schmancy nice. Something really good. Because right now, all WWE has to hang its hat on for us as fans is the DVDs. Because, yeah, we have it on. You're right, Justin. You and I are never going to walk away. We admit it, and that's fine. Will we be pissed off about it? Fine. You don't see Justin and I going to live shows anymore. I mean, watching Raw is one thing, but paying ticket money is a completely different thing altogether. It's one thing to sit here, watch Raw for free, and go, yeah, this kind of sucks, turn it off, put something else on. It's another thing to actually go to spend $20, $25, or in our case, depending on pay-per-views, $100, go to a pay-per-view, and usually we go to the Dunk, and hate it. And then we just throw $100 down the toilet to watch a shitty show. So the DVDs is what's hanging us as older Universe fans. So to have a nice, 3, 4
even beyond the DVDs, even just having 24/7 and tapes and others, basically just our collections. That's definitely what doing our reviews, and that's what I look forward to. And
exactly.
I look forward to the monthly pay-per-views only because I only pay $5 and I go hang out at a cool sports bar and watch them. I mean, I wouldn't look forward to them or care if I was ordering them or watching them online as much, probably.
Yes.
To me, it's more of like an event of going out and hanging out.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, admit it. You do enjoy Jim and the salty meat spread. It's not a bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. But anyway, yeah. If he's done, I hope they do a really nice.
I'm sure they will.
For him.
I'm sure they will.
And there is a rumor. Quickly speaking of DVDs, there is a rumor that for the 20 years of Raw at the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, they're going to do a massive 5-disc 20th anniversary Raw set.
Well, that'll be interesting, but I mean, it's going to be hard for them. Are they going to, re-release the 3-disc and add 2 more, or are they going to find all new stuff? Because I mean, they jammed a lot of stuff into those 3 discs.
God, am I going to hate that if they do that? Because we already, I think you have it, right? You have it too, right? The 3 discs?
Yes, yep.
Yes, and as do I. So I can't handle that. If they do that, I hope they do something special. But I have a feeling they are. If they're making a big deal out of it, that'd be pretty lazy if they did it that way. But anyway, back to Undertaker. Yeah, I mean, I think they need to market something really cool, and if this is it for him, but I just can't see them. I can't see them making the 20th match in Vancouver. Something tells me they've got to do something to end it at 30 at the Garden. I just can't see them blowing an opportunity.
Well,
like
I mean,
that.
maybe he has 3 more in him. Maybe he does. I don't know. If he's only wrestling once a year, maybe they can do it.
Well, if they don't care that the record doesn't look symmetrical, then that's fine. They could do that.
Yeah, if he goes 22-0, I don't think they give a shit. I mean,
no, I don't think they do.
I think they'd rather cash in on him wrestling 3 more times than worry about a number.
No, I don't think so either. I think they just want to. I just think they want him to be healthy, and with the right wrestler, Taker, even with his age limitations and his hips and his knees and everything else that hurts, he still gives you one hell of a match. So it just all depends on the opponent. But we'll see. If he is going to do 1 a year till 30, then they could easily rematch him and Triple H next year.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you get one with Jericho in there too. I mean, if he comes back, that's a match we haven't really seen.
No,
and Jericho would bring a good match, or even a guy like Punk. That could work a good match with him. So
I'm trying to think now. I have to research that. I don't think have Taker and Jericho even wrestled on pay-per-view?
Not on pay-per-view, I don't think. They have on TV, I think.
Well, you know what? Remember they had that one big SmackDown match. What was it? End of 2008? Sometime in the last few months of 2008, I think it was. Jericho and
Yeah,
Taker
sounds
wrestled on
familiar.
SmackDown?
Yeah, I think they even pushed that. It was like their first encounter or something.
Yeah, so it was like end of '08. They may have wrestled on a multi-person match, like a chamber or something. I don't know, but I know they definitely didn't wrestle on pay-per-view. So that would be interesting, yeah. And then eventually finish it with Cena, and then you're done, and then he could walk away.
All right, well, let's move on. We got a few more wrestling news bits here I want to talk about. One is Kurt Angle recently signed a 3-year deal with TNA. So it looks like he's staying there long term. I know that he's actually rumors floating around that he wants to try out for the Olympics, the next Olympic team. So we'll see if he's able to pull that off. But there were rumors that maybe he'd eventually come back to WWE, but it seems like that's not happening anytime soon, at least. So I think it's good for him and for them for him to stay there anyway.
Yeah. As much as I'd love to see him come back, and I know you'd love to see him come back because you've told me many times in the time we've known each other, he is your favorite wrestler of all time. And I love Kurt too. Everybody does.
He's definitely up there. I don't know. I have a hard time narrowing down to one guy. He's in my group. Him, Pillman, Savage. I got a few that I like. So
Beefcake. Yeah, I do as well. But we all do. We all have our top fives. I think we'll have to do that one night. We'll have to have our guys on and do our do our little top fives. We should do that one night. Maybe have some people put it on our Facebook page. Top five something. Yeah, I mean. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, I'd love to see Kurt come back. I don't want to see him back now. Creative is too screwed up, and they'll probably botch it, and he'll get mad anyway, and maybe God knows what kind of day he's having. He might kill somebody. Good luck with him in TNA. I want to watch it. I really, really do. I have even less faith in their creative than I do in Vince. So,
well, now, of course, we didn't mention this, but the change, they're no longer actually TNA now. It's Impact Wrestling. That's the official name.
I actually like that better.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that better. TNA makes me think of Test and Albert. So, I'm happy. Yeah, no, Impact Wrestling I think sounds fine. Even if you call it IPW or something, or maybe find something anachronistic to make it easily marketable. I always joke with our friend Johnny that I still would like to get Don West's Brown Bag Special. So I will buy something on TNA's website at some point. You get 4 DVDs and a T-shirt, just $20, and Don West will sign the bag. Better than that. What's better than that?
I think he'll personally deliver it too, probably.
Oh, that'd be tremendous. And we can have him on the show. Have him on the next episode. I'd love to talk to Don West for an hour and a half when he used to pimp baseball cards at 3 o'clock in the morning on QVC. So,
all right, and then the final kind of wrestling news bit I want to talk about was the deteriorating Scott Hall situation, which is continuing. I guess his ex-wife again tried to reach out to him and told him basically you need to talk to your kids before you end up, dying. And you need to fix things with him, and he kind of refused, and then he flipped out on her. And I guess like cops and medics showed up, and he was like fighting them off and refused to go. And he was like throwing crotch chops around, and just the guy's just lost his mind.
Yeah, it's upsetting. It really is. It's disappointing to see. I mean, it's funny. I was at lunch today. I was kind of perusing YouTube, looking for something to watch while I was eating, and I used to love the show Behind the Music that used to be on VH1, and I don't know, for some reason I found Behind the Music Blind Melon. I don't know, Blind Melon, of course, had that great song No Rain in 1992, but Shannon Hoon, who was the lead singer of the band, it was a music version of Scott Hall, and there's many examples of this. Just guys who just get caught in a vicious cycle, and as much as you'd think it's easy to just walk through the cycle and it end, they can't. It's just too hard.
Well, I was listening to an interview with Nash, and he said, I guess that Hall is really battling some serious repressing of memories that he had growing up and some stuff that happened to him traumatically, and he thinks that really is just the root of this whole thing, where he's not drinking, he's addicted. He's drinking because he's burying memories, and that's probably even more dangerous.
Yeah, and apparently, from what his ex-wife said, from what I read on a couple of sites today, this goes back. This didn't start in the Razor Ramon days. This goes back to before Diamond Stud, before all that, back to AWA. I mean, he took some serious. You could see it if you watch. When he was in AWA with Kurt Hennig. I mean, he was definitely taking steroids, and I'm sure a mixture of that. And he used to take. He took Soma and painkillers. He's been stuck in something for over 25 years. So it's never left him. He just probably during the WWF years, he was just in good enough shape that he was able to deal with it.
Right.
But he probably had a window, I would say, probably from when he started in WWF in late 92, probably till about halfway through the NWO run, maybe 98 and 99, and then after that is when he started to really look like crap and really.
Well, he was a mess though, even at the end of his WWF run. I mean, that was part of the problem.
Oh well, yeah, the crapping on Sonny's plate in the plane and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's true too.
And he was suspended in early '96, I think.
Yes, well, I think that's why he wasn't at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So this is not something new, and it's just, and apparently Nash told a story about, we were watching that YouTube clip of him at that show in Massachusetts, and apparently he fell and he hurt his hip or something.
Yes, yep.
But the promoter was pushing him to do it anyway, so he threw like 5 somas in him, and it was just a big train wreck.
Well, did I tell you actually that our friend Mike, a buddy of his, is a cop in Rhode Island, and he was actually one of the ones on call at the hotel that Hall was at that had all these problems, I guess, or maybe it was in the arena, the Fall River Arena. And he said it was just ridiculous when he showed up, and there's Razor Ramon, going off, like flicking toothpicks and crotch chopping and doing everything else, basically in character, having a friggin' freak out. So
it's like that vignette when he threw the plate of food at the waiter. But
and it's sad. I mean, it is sad seeing where he ended. And like I said, that was an awful video watching that, when him just stumbling around. And but I guess the other news to come out of that Nash interview is he revealed that he got an email that Lex Luger has actually been hired by WWE to be in charge of the wellness policy.
I don't know what to make of that.
I think it's maybe a good thing, because he seems like someone who's really got his life on track over the last like 4 or 5 years. After he kind of had that near-death experience, and it might be good for these guys to have a former wrestler and former guy that recovered via this reaching out to them and coming up, someone that's been involved in it, coming up with the rules and the ideas. I mean, I don't think it's that awful of a play. I'm sure he's not, solely in charge of it. I'm sure he's just kind of like the liaison for it. So I like it. It gives the guy a job. It rewards him for cleaning up his life and bringing him back to the fold, and it probably sets up an eventual Hall of Fame induction as well. So
does this officially mean that the only guy left that Vince McMahon has not forgiven is Jeff Jarrett?
I think so. It's Savage, I guess, for some reason.
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, obviously, maybe he is, because remember, Savage was doing those the commercials on the website for that All-Stars game.
That's right.
So I think maybe he's even been pseudo forgiven. But I still think the Hall of Fame for Savage, I think they're going to wait till 30 at the Garden for that. But you know what? I think Lex Luger knows that the whole thing about Elizabeth dying really leans on him. He says it in interviews. And as much as none of us are big Luger fans in terms of his ability, he was never the greatest wrestler in the world. We all know that.
Well, he had his run. I mean, his late 80s to early 90s run was very good. And his, 97, 96, well, actually, his return in 95 through about 97 in WCW, I thought was excellent stuff.
Yeah.
I really liked that whole angle they had with him and Sting and Savage and Hogan, where they didn't know who to trust, and he was playing both sides. Like, that was good stuff. And then I also really enjoyed his run as a top face in 97. I thought he really did some of his best work that year. After that, it was all downhill. But he had his run. He's not like just kind of a flash in the pan guy who had no talent. I mean, he just, could he carry guys? No, but he could be carried, and he could put on good matches, and he has had plenty that we'll talk about as we go through our shows.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, one of my favorite matches of his, probably the one match that I really can enjoy watching, is, if I remember the actual show, I believe it's Starrcade 88, Luger and Flair. It actually is a very good match. It's a little long. It's like 35 minutes. Typical Flair 80s match. Mm-hmm. It's like 35 minutes. But it actually is very good. And one thing Luger did well in his early run that he kind of lost in the mid to late 90s was getting the crowd into it. I mean, he was a good for a guy that was in good shape. He was actually a pretty good face in peril, and he really could get crowds pumped up in those late 80s, early 90s. And
I think he did a fine job of it in his initial USA run, but by late 94, 95, it seemed like he was just kind of going through the motions, and they definitely wasted, his potential. But we'll save that for when we
we get to those shows.
So,
but I'm actually excited. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I never thought it would happen, but. Like I said, Vince right now is just a walking enigma. I don't know what to expect, what he says, does. I just don't know anymore. So, you know what? Good for Luger. I'm happy. And, if he can help these guys out. And it seems like we haven't had a major wellness casualty in a while. Maybe this will help. Maybe it's actually making sense. Maybe they're taking it seriously. So good for him. And, if it helps the company program and it gives the program some credibility, that's even better for the company.
Mm-hmm. So. All right, just one final wrestling note. I was told the Cole thing was just that he actually, Lawler offered him a match and said if Cole wins, he'd be inducted to the Hall of Fame, and Lawler would give him his ring, Hall of Fame ring. Cole declined it, though, and then he went and hid in the coal mine and started. He asked King what he did for Mother's Day, and then he said, "Oh, I forgot you died." Lawler charged down, tried to get into the coal mine, and Swagger beat the shit out of him. So that's what happened in that segment.
Yeah, and actually Swagger is facing Kofi right now for the U.S. title. Maybe Lawler will cost him. So we'll see. But over the limit, by the way, 2 weeks.
Yep.
From the Key Arena in Seattle.
Yes.
Only the third time that city has hosted a pay-per-view. Of course, it hosted one, yours and mine, and many now. One of their favorite WrestleManias, and that was, of course, WrestleMania 19. And then it also, that was obviously at Safeco. And then, was it No Way Out 08?
It was definitely, no, 08 I think was Vegas.
Maybe it was 09.
It was definitely one of those.
There was been a pay-per-view in the last 2 years that has been at the Key Arena in Seattle, which is where Over the Limit's going to be. So just wanted to point that out.
All right, so let's wrap that up for wrestling, and we're going to move on. And I hope you're ready. I hope you're fired up.
I am.
Because now we're going to talk NBA playoffs, and you have promised an epic rant. So I want to set the mood. So get yourself ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read some feedback after. I'll let you do your initial rant. I'll read some feedback, and we'll talk about it. So let's set the mood here.
All right.
And go.
Only twice in the 10 years of the 1980s that I grew up a Los Angeles Lakers basketball fan did I ever see them get swept. It was and this is when they were favored and at the top of their game. The 1983 NBA Finals, they were swept by the Sixers. But that was a great Dr. J, Moses Malone team. And James Worthy, who was in his rookie year, was hurt. So the bench was a little shaky. And in the 1989 NBA Finals, they were swept by a very good, although very dirty, Detroit Pistons team. And again, Byron Scott was hurt, and Magic Johnson popped his hammy in Game 2. Never have I ever seen a Laker team quit before 3 years ago in 2008. That Game 6 at the TD Garden was the most despicable display of quitting I have ever seen of any of my sports teams ever. Then this team somehow finds some mojo and wins 2 straight NBA championships. This Laker team, this roster right now, is good when they're winning. It's easy to enjoy each other's company when you're winning. Last year, they go to Game 7 against the Celtics. Leading going into the fourth quarter are the Celtics. Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, rallies them together, changes his role, stops taking shots, gets 15 rebounds, and they win that NBA championship. Everybody loves him to win it this year. What is Andrew Bynum? Late surgery, misses the first 2.5 months of the year. All right, he screwed up, but fine. He came back, he's playing well. Then, after struggling against New Orleans, they get it together, and they win 2 in a row and beat the Hornets. Great job. Now they face a Dallas Mavericks team that they haven't faced in the playoffs in 23 years. And the last time they faced them, Dallas took them 7 games. That was in 1988. They lose Game 1 at home after having a lead at the end of the first quarter. They lose Game 2 after having a lead in the fourth quarter. All right, I'm a little discouraged. Then I hear Andrew Bynum say, a guy who's averaging, by the way, 21 points and 10 goddamn rebounds in the playoffs, I'm not getting the ball enough. And I heard that and I go, oh, Jesus, it's done. Sure enough, Game 3 in Dallas. Another lead, 7-point lead, 4.5 minutes left. What do? Right down the toilet. They lose by 7. Right then and there, I'm sitting here on my couch and I go, this series is over. I guarantee you, and I said it to my brother, I said it to my father, I didn't say it to my co-host, I had a chance to talk to him about it, but I guaranteed Game 4, they were going to quit. And sure enough, first quarter, they're only down 4. All right, they're hanging around. Second quarter, they are outscored 36-16. They are down 22 at the half. Done. And then the second half was just, they were lapped. Once again, this
hang on, you're missing 1 point now in the second half. They started unleashing some freaking awful cheap fouls, including the Bynum clothesline from hell.
I'm getting there. All right,
I'm
getting there. I'm only talking about the gamers all. I'm getting to that in a minute.
All right, go ahead.
I'm getting to that in a minute. Once again, this great team of Laker talent, when the chips are down and they need to rally, they quit. And to make matters worse, they couldn't just lose with grace. They couldn't just lose with dignity. Even the Showtime teams lost. The Houston Rockets beat them in 86 after winning the NBA title. Again, they lost in 83 to the Sixers. They lost in 89 to the Pistons. They lost in 91 to the Bulls. And Magic, in tears, hugged Michael Jordan. And Scottie Pippen hugged Divac, and there was a wealth of respect. But losing that series hurt. And then I found out when Magic got HIV, Showtime was done. But you know what? They lost with class. Those last 8 minutes on Sunday was absolutely despicable. I have never in my life seen a team not just quit, but quit with no class and no dignity. And you know what, Phil Jackson? Turn around. I don't care if you're boning Genie Bus. Just leave. Walk away. Don't come back. I don't care if you write a book. I don't care if you coach the Knicks. I don't care what you do. Don't come back. You don't deserve this. In the immortal words of Steve Austin in 2001, you don't deserve this. This team needs to be gutted. I am done with Andrew Bynum. He is an immature little shit. Okay? He should have had the surgery for his knee when the season ended and didn't wait 3 months and missed 2 months of the season. And then all he did the last 4 months was bitch. And this team was this close 2 months ago to actually getting Dwight Howard. I don't know if that was entirely going to happen. Probably not. But the fact remains is this guy had a gold mine. He could have gone to UConn. His knees could have blown up when he was a junior, and he'd be playing for the goddamn Wizards. So he should be privileged that he came out of high school and actually was drafted by a championship contender. And all he's done since he's been here is bitch. But the worst case is Lamar Odom. Our man Matt Rotella absolutely hates this guy. Hated the fact he went to URI. Hated the fact that he didn't go to any of his classes. He was part of that whole Jim Herrick corruption mess at URI. And Justin knows that as well. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt this year. He took playing the sixth man with class, I thought anyway. Ended up winning the NBA Sixth Man of the Year. He was playing great off the bench. He was giving other teams matchup problems, and they were winning games. And another guy, just like 3 years ago in Game 6 in Boston, when the chips were down, he quit. So he can go to hell too. And I don't care where any of these guys play next year. I don't care what Mitch Kupchak does. He wants to break them up. I don't care. And as for the whole Kobe versus Michael debate, no, there is no Michael Jordan sequel. I've always said that. Kobe Bryant is a tough guy to figure out. Does he like losing? Absolutely not. Did he quit yesterday on Sunday? I don't know. He had 17 in the game. He only had 2 in the second half. You figure it out. And you figure out, you know what, if the rest of these guys aren't going to bother playing, why should I? Jason Terry looked like he was shooting in his goddamn driveway by the fourth quarter. It was an ugly, ugly display by a team, a proud franchise that has won 16 world championships. And the other team on the other side of the coin, the team that I picked to go to the finals, which right now is in a dogfight in Game 4, I wish I could have a quarter of the dignity that the Boston Celtics had and give it to my team. I don't know what they do with it, but for a fan, all right, I'm going to take out my co-host hat and put on my fan hat. After watching, I was almost in tears. I think Nunzio is a ref now. In tears Friday night after dealing with a year of the Flyer fans sticking it in my face to enjoy putting that to bed Friday night by just once again humiliating the Philadelphia Flyers in a 4th straight game. I thought I could have a great weekend. And I thank the Los Angeles Lakers for ruining it. You know what? If you're going to get swept, if you're outclassed by a better, a hungrier Dallas Mavericks team, I'm fine with that. I applaud, and I'm not a big Rick Carlisle fan, but I applaud how Dallas played in those 4 games. But those fouls was just another example of immaturity, classlessness, and a lack of any self-dignity. And you know what? Apparently Andrew Bynum ripped off his jersey and threw it to the ground. Good! Don't ever put it on again. You don't deserve it. I'm done.
All right, Mikey. Good job out of you there. That's definitely you said that was a classic Francesco rant you just went on. So.
Thank you.
The
nice pauses weren't as long, but
it was a nice work there, and I think you probably echo the sentiments of many Lakers fans out there. And the question is now, what do they do with this team? Obviously, they've been linked to Dwight Howard, they've been linked to Chris Paul. Do they make moves? Do they get rid of Bynum and Odom and give Kobe, some pieces to give him one last chance? I think they really do. Now, if they're going to gut that team and give it a shot, this is the time now with Jackson leaving, depending on who they bring in. Though a lot of people thought the Celtics were going to do that last year when they had, the chance to let those guys walk and kind of rebuild the team. They didn't. They went back for one more chance. So, I said it all along. I thought this team was going to be worn down. When they come calling and looking and they say who around here thought the Mavericks were going to beat the Lakers in this playoffs, you can say your boy did. That's who. He called it in our original podcast. He called it all the way through on the Facebook page. He was very, very confident when things weren't looking good against the Blazers and Brandon Roy was battling to bring Portland back into that series. There was one man who stood by, the proud team from Dallas. Dirk Nowitzki, etching his name in NBA history. Top 10 all-time player right now. Guaranteed Hall of Famer. Mark Cuban, the best owner in sports after George M. Steinbrenner. He is going to lead that team to their first NBA championship.
What's really sad about this whole thing? I watched that show as a kid only because Texas Stadium was in the credits. I used to watch with my mother when it was on. As an analyst, we'll get away from the other disgusting topic. I still don't know if Dallas is good enough to run the table. I don't know. The primary 3-point offense, I don't know if it can run 2 more rounds.
Yeah, but they have good matchups against either Oklahoma City or it's actually looking like it's going to be Memphis because they are just curb stomping OKC right now in game 4 rather.
Game 4. If Memphis makes it, then I love Dallas's chances. I do. I don't think Memphis has matchups. Jason Terry's a big guy that could shoot deep. And let me tell you something. I was listening to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio over the weekend. He was in Dallas on Sunday before that debacle happened. Have you actually just seen Dirk Nowitzki's 11-year playoff stats? They're ungodly.
He's unreal.
He's averaging like 25.5 points a game, 88% free throw shooter, about a 48% field goal percentage, which is still pretty good for the playoffs. And, he needs to make amends. He had an NBA ring in his hand, 2006.
Well, they stole it from him. It wasn't his fault.
Well, no, but he had it in his hand, and it was whisked away from him.
I'm a Celtics fan nominally. I'm a basketball fan on a macro level. I like Dirk Nowitzki. I like the Dallas Mavericks. I like Mark Cuban. I really do. I want to see them win this year. I really do. I think they deserve it. I think they got hosed big time in 2006. They let that creep into the head the next year when they lost to the Warriors, and then kind of things get sidetracked. I've always liked Jason Kidd, back to my days when I was working doing Nets games, and watching him and that whole nonsense with his wife and kid, like Steamboat, always at ringside there.
That's right.
I think they both deserve to win titles. Those guys, Jason Kidd and Dirk Nowitzki, to cement their status as Hall of Famers. And I think if Dirk wins the title and ends up winning like a Finals MVP or anything like that, he's legit. Like top 10 all-timer, I think. His stats are unreal.
Oh, there's no doubt.
He's been a guy that's totally carried that team on his back for, years at a stretch. And, he's doing it again. And he just had a phenomenal year. He's developed into a different style player than he was earlier in his career. And, I'm rooting for them right now. I really am. I want to see them at least make the finals, and I'd like to see them win it. And if they do get to the finals, hopefully they get I'm hoping they get Atlanta or the Celtics, because if they get the Heat, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen, to them in their head and, with the league in the pocket of LeBron and Wade at that point. So,
I love Mark Cuban. I have nothing against him either. I want him to buy the Mets. I've never hidden that fact, that wish. And if the Wilpons go to prison, I'd like Mark Cuban to step into Queens and pick up the pieces. Trust me. Dirk Nowitzki is just one of those guys who just goes out there and plays. You've never heard anything about him. No personal issues. Gambling, drugs, rape, none of the stuff.
Well, he had that one issue, wasn't it, where he was he dating like a hooker or something fucking crazy or some shit? She was like stalking him. Remember, there was some weird thing.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. But he took care of that. You haven't seen it linger since.
Yeah, I'm sure he took care of it.
Yeah.
We haven't heard her name in a long time. I'm sure
she's in a rock pile somewhere in Stuttgart. But anyway, no. But when he's on the basketball court, the guy's just dead consistent. Now he's had crappy supporting casts, bad coaches, but I will say this Maverick team has the goods. I don't know if they can beat Chicago. Maybe.
Hey, I picked Chicago to get to the finals. I don't even know if they're going to get there, to be honest with you. I mean, they does seem like the classic team that may just be that year away. They have the talent, they have the ability, but they just can't put it together for sustained runs. I mean, there's no way they should be tied right now with the Hawks. I mean, the Hawks are playing above their heads, but the Bulls are letting them in that series.
Yeah, exactly. And Stephen A. said over the weekend, a guy called in who was a big Bulls fan, and he essentially said that Chicago is a 2-guard away from an NBA championship. Derrick Rose, it's fine to have Deng and it's fine to have Boozer. I've never been a big Boozer fan anyway. But what Derrick Rose needs, he needs a complimentary 2 guy. You know what Derrick Rose needs? I know
Ray
this
Allen.
is me to say. Well, sort of.
Who they should have gotten.
Well, yeah, that too. But he needs a Ray or he needs a Kobe. He needs a guy who's going to take some of the scoring load off him a little bit and let him play make.
I think Ray Allen was the key guy, and he was available, and they didn't want to pay for him. He was the main guy I think they could have nabbed that could be there to hit those big shots like he's still doing now. Exactly. The worst thing for the Bulls is going to be if the Heat, who won tonight, so now they're up 3-1. They won in overtime. So now if they win in 5 games, if they win the next one and close it out, and the Bulls have to go 6 or 7, that's the worst thing to happen for them because now the Heat are going to have fresh legs. And again, also like I predicted, as I said, I do root for the Celtics. I'm not a huge fan, but I do root for them. I called before the season as well with them, and before the playoffs started as well with them. I didn't think they'd have the legs to hang with the Heat. And LeBron had a good game tonight. Actually, I'm not sure how Bosch did. I'll have to look that up because I wanted to say a few things about that fucking clown too. I've said all along I thought he was overrated. I don't know how he got his ass lumped in with these other two legendary great players.
I never did either. I agree with you. I've never had any clue either.
Bosch tonight had a good game. He had 20 and 12, so he came back after the epic choke job he had in Game 3, where he basically said he was nervous and he woke up with a sore neck from sleeping funny or whatever bullshit he was spewing. And I really think LeBron and Wade would have been better off not bringing his dumbass to Miami with them and having the cap space to sign a few other quality guys and getting another big man instead of him. I really think that would have been the smartest move for them to just let him go somewhere else.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know why. I think Chris Bosh's stats were kind of inflated in Toronto because there's really nobody else.
He's the only guy, of course.
And so I mean, I don't know where he suddenly because he was their best friend on the U.S. Olympic team. I mean, please. Yeah. I will say this though. I want you, if you acknowledge one thing for me, I will acknowledge one thing for you. I will acknowledge that you were right that the Dallas Mavericks did beat the Lakers. I mean, it didn't seem like it. In the end, it
stomped the shit out.
Well, in the end, it didn't seem like it was very hard anyway. But you got to acknowledge to me because you disagree with me. Rajon Rondo is an elite point guard in this league. He's a gutsy kid, and if he had if Lamar Odom or Andrew Bynum had an eighth of that kid's guts, that series would still be going on. What did he do?
I mean, that was a gross...
Did he do the Mr. Miyagi hand slap and somebody smacked his elbow back in? Because he came out there and he won that game for them on well,
Saturday night. I mean, they had already won it. I think that performance would be more legendary if he came back and brought them from behind. But they already had a healthy lead when he went out.
Right.
But I that was like a Sid like cringe where we were watching a Smoky Bones and everyone in that bar was just like, oh my god, and they kept showing it, and that was just a gross thing that happened to him.
That was pretty cheapy on Dwayne Wade's part too. He didn't have to give him the Ricky Steamboat arm drag. I mean, that was unnecessary.
He definitely yanked him down, and he's another guy who's had some dirty plays this series as Wade. But as far as Rondo goes, he's a great distributor. He has great court vision. He's a great rebounder for a point guard. If he gets in the lane and gets going and he's passing and making plays. The two problems I have with him, one, his head isn't always totally there. We saw that especially after the Perkins trade where he went into a long funk. And he has a little bit of an attitude. A lot of people around here speculate that he doesn't like being the fourth banana lumped in with the other three. That he would be, better suited. He might be someone that is happier being the best guy on a shitty team when the other three are retired, The other thing is his shooting. I can't say he's elite until he has a better jump shot where he can make guys have to come out and play him. Until he does that, I can't say he's elite. That's why I think a guy like Chris Paul is above him at this point still.
Oh, I don't disagree that Chris Paul's above him,
and
but I think Rondo deserves a lot more credit than he deserves. But having said that, Celtics look like they're going to get eliminated too. So I did say the playoffs started that either the Lakers and Celtics are both going to make it or both not going to make it. I was more hoping for the former. I'm going to end up probably getting the latter. So
I thought both of those teams would be worn down. I thought they were both too old to have another sustained run. Everything broke perfectly for the Celtics last year, the way the playoffs went for them. They got the soft magic team. They got the Cavs crumbling. And then they, if they don't lose Perkins, they probably beat the Lakers. This year I thought things would be a little bit different. They had too many athletic teams to get through. The Heat are just too athletic for them. And I think that if they do somehow come back and win the series, obviously it's going to take 7 games, so they're going to be gassed, and then they're going to go face either an athletic Hawks team that's always given them problems, dating back to the year that they won the title. They took them 7 games, and the Bulls team is one that's more athletic. So, I felt all along from the beginning that was going to be the downfall of both of those teams, and I thought Dallas had some mojo going, and things broke right because now Dallas doesn't have to face San Antonio, which is the one team that I was afraid of them facing. I think they can beat Memphis. I think they can beat Oklahoma City. 2 teams that are going to be there having jitters, whereas a guy like Dirk has been there before. So OKC's actually coming back. They're down 11 now with 3 minutes left in the half. So
I will say this though, give a lot of credit to Lionel Hollins in Memphis. I mean, where did he get? I don't know where he lit the fire under Zach Randolph's ass. And I'll tell you something, Zach Randolph is a guy you don't want to fuck with at this point in the postseason.
No, he's having a monster run.
I think he can drive the Mavs nuts in a half court set. Can he? The rest of the team has to defend because Jason Terry's going to be he's definitely emerged. He's been in the league for so long, yet he just kind of gets talked about as a guy that scores. But he really showed himself in the series against the Lakers to be a good two-way player who can drive to the hoop. He obviously has the three-point shot, but I mean, maybe in this series he'll be defended. But it's a good matchup for Dallas. But Lionel Hollins seems to be pushing the right buttons, and
now Randolph is a restricted free agent, I believe, so he's definitely going to be cashing in on this performance.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. Now, again, I hate to do this, and I hate to be I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but we do have a labor thing hanging over this league. Yeah. I think particular, and you've been saying it on our Facebook page, and please go to it if you haven't yet. Place to Be Podcast Facebook page. That this has been the best NBA playoffs, top to bottom, in a while. Mm-hmm. And while I do agree with you, there's been some very exciting games. I think all of us are feeling happy about it because we don't want them to end because of the darkness at the end of the tunnel. Because there may be no basketball next fall because their issues are even worse than the NFL issues. Because apparently one of the big things is the union wants to get rid of the salary cap. Mm-hmm. Now, if they get rid of the salary cap, then the Lakers can just clean up and start over. Because Jerry Buss has the money. Mm-hmm. So he can just ditch these guys, and next year Dwight Howard and Chris Paul could both be Lakers. I mean, will that happen? Probably not. But I'm hypothetical.
And the difference with them in the NFL is, the NFL, they are so big right now, they're fucking retarded if they do go to a lockout because, they're obviously going to be killing such a hot product. But I think people love football enough that they're going to come back fairly quickly when the league restarts. NBA, they're really at their peak now in a long time, and it's similar to when they had the lockout in '98. Whereas that was the end of the peak. I think this is just kind of starting, and they have such a great product. And I mean, even myself, partly because of these podcasts and talking about it and having to follow even closer, but it has rekindled my passion for basketball that I had in the 90s that I had kind of lost throughout the 2000s. I think partly because I was without a team. And, like I said, I became a Celtics fan because of Ryan Gomes, and I kind of stayed a Celtics fan, but I'm not a diehard fan. I don't, it doesn't hurt me to see them lose, like, when the Yankees and Jets lose. I root for them, but I'm more, like I said, a basketball polygamist. I like many teams. I like stories. I like product to be good. So to me, it's like they finally got their mojo back, and I hate to see them lose.
Did you write that word down to make sure you could fit it somewhere? Because I don't think I've ever heard you say the word polygamist. It's very impressive.
Actually, describes my lifestyle.
All right, that's another podcast. We'll have Leanne on to talk about your the lifestyle. But anyway, she
is heavily involved in my polygamy. No, all right, let's move on.
Oh God, I can't wait till this Facebook page blows up. I agree with you, and you're right, because when the strike happened, the Bulls team disintegrated. So what did anybody have to look forward to? Now those Laker teams in the late '90s. Now those teams got swept. Getting back to my rant. The Jazz, but that was different. They were like a 6 seed, a 5 seed. They got swept in the conference semis by by that really good Jazz team 2 years in a row. That's different. When you're the underdog and you get swept by a number 1 seed, that's different. Mm-hmm. And the Lakers didn't have the pieces in 97, 98. They had Kobe, they had Shaq, but they really didn't have much of anything else. And Kobe didn't have the soul of the Black Mamba yet. But after Michael left and the Bulls were dismantled, yeah, the labor thing, people were like, yeah, whatever, Michael's gone and the rest of these teams, who cares? And again, I hate to say it, and when the next time we have our man Andrew Reich on, nobody falls in love with the Spurs. So when the Spurs won it in '99, people are like, yeah, whatever, the Spurs won, who cares? It's like, so yeah, right now a labor thing could be devastating for the league because it is getting hot. You got a lot of good young players in this league, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, and Rondo and Derrick Rose and all these guys, John Wall, and to see a labor problem would be devastating because, again, people could bitch and moan all they want about the NFL, and you hit the nail on the head. We're all going to come back anyway.
Right.
So we can all hate the league, hate the union, and hate the
and I think
the
the
owners
NFL
all they want.
I think the NFL is not going to miss. If they miss anything, it's going to be like the first 4 weeks or something. Like I don't think they'll miss a whole season or multiple seasons. Whereas the NBA, there's word that it could be a while.
Yeah, and when it was weird. As much as it's the fourth most popular sport in North America, it was weird not having an entire season of no hockey. It was very strange. Not having an entire season of NBA will be even weirder. Not having half a season of NFL will be like suicide to a lot of people. But that's why I think the playoffs are so much fun for people. Now, will the Lakers being knocked out stop me from watching? I'll admit, my interest will dip a little bit because I do have the Bruins. We'll talk about the NHL in a minute. I have them to pay attention to. But I am curious to see how the rest of it goes. I will root for Dallas because I'm one of those ones who I'm going to root for the team that knocked me out, makes me feel better. So I will probably go for Dallas a little bit. I'm just not a big Rick Carlisle fan. I don't know what kind of a clutch coach he can be in a big spot. I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of like Spoelstra. He's coaching this gang of this crew of gold mine, gems, and you're wondering how the hell is this guy handling this team? Same thing with Carlisle. He's got a great team here, but he's never been a big clutch playoff coach. So there's a lot to prove with the Mavericks. They have a lot of talent, but there is a lot to prove. Could they beat Memphis? They could very easily sweep Memphis if they played 4 great games. But again, Zach Randolph's the kind of guy that can take over anything. Oklahoma City will be a tougher matchup than you think they will. I wouldn't totally sell Oklahoma City short, but Dallas right now feels pretty good about themselves. They not only beat the Lakers, but they stripped them down and showed everyone what they truly are. And as a Laker fan, that's tough to watch, but they brought it upon themselves, so I feel no sympathy. In the East, quickly, before we move on to the
actually,
NBA.
I did want to read just a couple of notes from our buddy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I just want to say I still have faith in Derrick Rose and the Bulls.
Yeah, they'll win. It's just kind of disappointing that they're not kind of taking more control of the
charge.
series.
I agree. But go ahead. We have some feedback, so.
Our buddy Chris Sanchez James, has some taunts for you about the Lakers. So I'm just going to read his 3 posts here.
Okay.
This Kobe Jordan stuff is done, right? Kobe, the second best shooting guard of all time. Cool, but no more than this. He might be as good as Jordan's stuff, but Jordan would never have allowed this to happen twice. For the record, Jordan posted 17 points in 126 consecutive playoff games. Kobe's streak of 17-plus is 35 from 2001 to 2003 and 32 from 07 to 09. His active streak is 7, only 119 more to go. He says, someone should tell Scott the Lakers suck. Kobe will never be MJ. The Lakers suck. They choked, got humiliated, quit on one of the greatest coaches ever, played dirty, embarrassed their franchise, and after all this, remind him that the Lakers suck. So, Scott, on behalf of Chris Sanchez James, the Lakers suck.
Oh, thank you. You make that so easy. Yeah, they do suck, and I've never said that. I would have been nice, and he still can, but I would like to see Kobe match Michael's 6 championships. Right now, Kobe obviously has 5. I would like to see him match Michael, but I have never said that Kobe was and Michael were the equal. However, Mr. Sanchez, need I remind you, Kobe does not have the kind of organizational clout like Michael did. If Michael wanted to get rid of somebody, Jerry Krause, that little tub of lard, would have gotten rid of the guy in a heartbeat.
What about Shaquille O'Neal? Are you fucking delirious? Didn't he drive him out of there?
No, Shaq left on his own.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here.
You really think Shaq was going to stay?
Oh, he would have stayed if it wasn't for Kobe driving the wedge, wedge between them.
No, Shaq left on his own.
Yeah, no, they could have chosen, though. They could have chosen, and they chose Kobe over Shaq.
They chose Kobe because they thought Shaq's health was in, and it turned out in the long run it kind of was. But But it wasn't all, Kobe kicking him out. They chose Kobe because they thought he was cheaper. And in the end, Kobe almost wanted to be traded anyway. So, but the fact of the matter is when Michael wanted to get rid of Bill Cartwright, they got rid of him. They wanted to get rid of a lot of those guys from the first 3 winners. They cut them loose. B.J. Armstrong, gone. I'm surprised he survived with Dennis Rodman, to be honest with you. But I think Rodman was kind of in that same mode that Ron Artest is, in that he kind of wants to he used to kiss Michael's ass, just like Ron Artest kisses Kobe's ass. So they try and stay, on the ins with the cool kid in school. But thank you for reminding me that the Lakers suck. That's incredible and well thought out opinions on your part, Mr. Smiley. I thank you for that. I didn't really know that, but in any case, Kobe is not Michael Jordan's equal, and I've never said Kobe was Michael Jordan's equal.
No one is. I'm LeBron, Wade, whoever else, Harold Miner. There's never another Michael Jordan.
Ryan Miner. Doesn't matter what Miner. No, there's only one MJ, and it's a shame because I was never a Bulls hater in the '90s, and we talked about this when we did the show with Reish and Jordan. I was never a Michael hater in the '90s. I never really hated the Bulls in the '90s. But I just liked the Western Conference, except the 2 years they played Utah, because I hate Karl Malone. But I rooted for the Lakers in '91, obviously. I rooted for Portland in '92, because I like Clyde Drexler. I was definitely rooting hard for Barkley and the Suns in '93. Hard. I wanted the Suns to win that series. I wanted Seattle in '96, even though they didn't have a snowball's chance in hell. Even though they did win 2 straight games, but I knew they weren't going to win Game 6 in Chicago. And I definitely rooted for the Bulls those last 2 because I just despise Karl Malone with every fiber of my being. So I can't say that I hated Michael in the '90s. I know you were always 50-50 because you were a big Hornet guy, and I always kind of like the Hornets too because anybody, I always have a soft spot for Hoya alums, and so I was a big Morning guy, of course. And I did like that '90 UNLV team, so I liked Larry Johnson. But I was never a Michael hater, and I wasn't really a Bulls hater. I just seemed to always root for the Western Conference in their finals matchups, but it wasn't really because I disliked Michael. So I will never say that Kobe will ever be Michael. There's only one Michael, folks. Just like there's only one Bill Russell. There's only one Wilt Chamberlain. There'll only be one Magic Johnson because you'll never see a great 6'9" point guard who can play like a guy who can move around on the court with a guy who's 6'1". But I've never said that Kobe was Michael Jordan's equal. Never. And that's not just talent on the court. I don't know what Michael would have done with this team. He probably would have got them all traded. Bynum would be playing in Washington right now, or friggin', I don't know, Houston or something by now. If Kobe had that kind of clout like Michael did, but
it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see where things fall, and we'll definitely track it.
Yes.
We'll move on quickly to the NHL now. Before like I said, we're going to do an NBA Finals preview definitely. So
yes, we'll
continue to track the. Playoff progress. The NHL right now, obviously we talked to the Bruins. They swept the Flyers with a dominant 5-1 win, and I kind of liked how they piled on at the end. It was almost like they just kept, when Ralphie and Christmas Story just beats the shit out of the bully after he finally snaps. That's what it felt like. They
Scott
just kept,
Farkas. Yeah.
They just kept pouring on like those 3 goals at the end. It's like, really ending those demons and just kept punching the Flyers in the face. So that was good to see them win. The Canucks wrapped up things tonight. They defeated Nashville 2-1, so they win their series. So right now we're just waiting on the Sharks or the Red Wings. And if you're the Bruins, I think you hope the Red Wings win Game 6 and make this go as long as possible, giving time for hopefully Bergeron to get back. And also just so they can rest up a little bit as being a kind of a banged-up team. So, they're playing Tampa. Obviously, that's set. Tampa swept the ever-choking Washington Capitals. You think you're upset as a Laker fan? I can only imagine how those poor bastards feel down in Washington. So,
yeah. Well, hey, you got to see them when you went there a few weeks ago.
I feel bad. They seem so up and into it, especially when they're beating the Rangers. So,
all their little Ovechkin jerseys, and I don't know you want to talk about a team. At least Kobe's got something to hang his hat on. He does have 5 rings. I don't know what Alex Ovechkin can hang his hat on. I mean, that guy's going to get fired. First of all, that coach is an idiot anyway. But I mean, there's a lot of talent on that team. But they've got the same kind of goalie issues that the Flyers do. And I don't know what's going to happen. But Ovechkin, he's definitely number 2 in the league now behind Sidney Crosby. The only reason the Penguins didn't beat Tampa was because Crosby didn't play. The Bruins took 4 out of 5 from Tampa during the regular season. I think they'll beat the Lightning. I mean, they are a tough team in terms of skaters. Stamkos, Martin St. Louis, Vincent Lecavalier, they are all good skaters. But I think the Bruins right now are playing with an immense amount of confidence. I don't want this layoff to be too long. They're playing hot right now. I don't want them to sit around.
No, but you want them to be able to maybe get Bergeron back and get some other guys help.
Yeah, I would like to see Bergeron back, and I know McQuaid is trying to heal up as well. They're making some line changes. I was reading on ESPN tonight. They're moving Tyler Seguin. They moved over the kid Kelly, who's got 4 goals in this postseason. So I'm cool with that. I just don't want him to sit too long. Timmy is playing great right now. Tim Thomas, who's going to win his second.
I think the longest they can sit till is Saturday. I mean, I think that's the longest because.
All right, so they sat a week. That's not that bad. And honestly, Tampa's been sitting too.
Yeah.
So both of them swept. I think they could beat Tampa. Again, they beat them 4 out of 5. If Timmy's hot, and it's almost like a half court. You call it half court, a half ice thing. If they can kind of bottle up the Lightning and kind of forecheck them and kind of use their size, they should beat Tampa. I don't know who to face. You and I saw them, our one Bruins game a year we go to. We did see them in February. They lost to San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bruins did go into Vancouver and beat the Canucks in mid-February. So I don't know what will happen in that series. I mean, the Red Wings beat the Bruins back-to-back. They had a home and home in late February in Boston and Detroit, and the Red Wings beat them both times. So I don't know if I want to play Detroit. But again, the finals are different. It's a different beast right now. The Bruins are playing. You want to talk about a team? Here's a dichotomy, just for the weekend anyway. This Bruins team exercised the demon in a big way, and I loved it. I was salad, and I'm not one to run scores up. I don't like that, particularly in the old days of college football. But this was a case where the Bruins just needed to just kick the goddamn door in. And I love your reference of Ralphie beating up Scott Farkas, because that's exactly what they did. Just punch him and frickin' and making up swear words and just stick it to the goddamn Flyers. I'm done with them now, and I feel good. It's kind of the same thing when the Yankees, they didn't do it directly to the Red Sox, but they exercised their 3-0 demon from 2004 5 years later when they won it. The Bruins only had to wait 1 year, thank God. But I'm happy the way they're playing right now. Julian is pushing the right buttons, and I just love the way they're playing hockey right now. They're playing as a team. And we won't talk about it tonight because we've already gone a while, but I want to talk about chemistry with you again because
hockey's a different animal.
One sport where chemistry is a huge factor is hockey.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I'll never disagree with you there.
Yeah, and the Bruins are playing their family right now. They know the last few years they've been a high seed, and they gacked 3 straight Game 7s, 2 of them at home. And this year they vow not to do that. I kind of like not having the home ice against the Flyers. And they will have the home ice against the Lightning because the Bruins were the 3 seed, the Lightning were the 5 seed. So the Bruins will have home ice, which I'm fine with. But they got to hold serve at home. They can't do like they did against Montreal and give up any home games. They need to keep the pressure on the other team. I think they'll do that. As for the West, if I had to pick I obviously would prefer to see, believe it or not, even though the top seed, I think the Bruins would match up best with Vancouver. Even though the Sedin twins are great, and Luongo is playing just as good as Thomas is, I have a feeling they match up better with Vancouver. I'm not crazy about playing the Red Wings. They're the
San
same.
Jose though.
San Jose, well, Joe Thornton, Joe has been bad-mouthing the Bruins, which I don't understand because he bitched and moaned and he got himself traded. So I don't know what he's whining about. But he's actually been bad-mouthing the Bruins, saying that they're dirty players. It all happened with the whole thing when Chara hit Pacioretty in Montreal, and he called the Bruins dirty. And I don't know what the hell he's talking about. He should just shut up. But we watched him against San Jose, and they lost. And San Jose, most Western Conference teams are faster than the East anyway. The East, it's just like the NBA. Eastern Conference hockey, bigger guys, a little more grinding. I'd like to think that a bigger Bruins team can kind of slow down any of these Western Conference teams. If I had to have my pick from top to bottom, I'd rather play Vancouver, and then San Jose, and then the team I want to face the least is Detroit. I saw them twice against the Red Wings. They looked lousy in both games, but again, this is a different beast. I'd like to think that they can match up against any of them, but again, they got to beat Tampa first. I think they will, but I'm just very happy. I'm not going to let this purple and gold meltdown of embarrassment ruin my enjoying the fact that I've never seen a Bruins team hoist a cup in my lifetime. So I'm sure I'm going to get a joke from Derek LaRue about the fact that I watched Eddie Shore in 1928. But anyway, the fact is, seeing them hoist the cup will just make my year because I've never seen it. I've seen I can't say I've seen 16. I've seen 9 Laker championships. So be it. I'd cash that in to see the Bruins hoist the cup.
Just in case you were unaware, the Lakers do suck. So let's wrap up with that NHL there. I think we can probably skip baseball this week. There's not too much going on. Status quo. The Red Sox are kind of making their little bit of a run here.
Well, I would like to say one thing to you, Mr. Rozzero. Sunday, Yankees in Texas. I did like, by the way, obviously yesterday, Sunday was Mother's Day, and belated Happy Mother's Day to all of our listeners' moms and those that are listening that are moms, and to our moms, Mr. Rozzero's and mine. And obviously every year on Mother's Day, and I think on Father's Day they're going to do it with powder blue for prostate cancer. I think that's what they're going to do. But every Mother's Day, the major leagues, they do pink for the Susan G. Komen. G Komen Society for Breast Cancer Research. They all wear pink armbands, pink bats, and actually Swisher had pink cleats on Sunday in Texas. And Father's Day, I think it's going to be powder blue for prostate cancer. You've talked about, you haven't been as vicious about Derek Jeter as some people that have called both WFAN and ESPN. They want him traded, cut him loose, send him to Scranton. I mean, you just want to bump down in the order. They want him hung. Well, the kid, he had a couple of days off, so Eduardo Nunez make 4 errors in 2 days or something. Came out 2 homers, 4 hits. Maybe he kind of has been thinking about it. Do you finally think that maybe the slump is over? Was this a one-shot thing? Can you ride it? Are you?
I don't think so, because to me, there's more empirical evidence that he's not going to be this than that he is going to be this, because he's been struggling since last year. I mean, this isn't just like a 1 month thing. And just because he had one, very good game, and he has been playing better lately, and his defense has been pretty good, surprisingly enough. I'm not ready to declare him back to being Derek Jeter. I mean, if he can hit 280, I'll be freaking thrilled. I don't know. I hope he is back, but there's also a chance it was just a warm day. He got loose and unleashed a couple, that he was due to hit. I don't know. I'm not ready to run him out of town. I see it as being more of a sad situation. I didn't want to give him 3 or 4 years that they gave him. I thought he should only get 1 with an option, or 2 at the most.
Right. I know.
I saw the writing on the wall, and I don't want him to suck. I want to be wrong. I want him to come back with a vengeance and hit well and put up big numbers, because it's good for the team. So I don't hate the guy. I just don't.
No.
I just am fearful of what he's become, and I think that it's to the detriment of the lineup to have him leading off, especially when you get a guy like Curtis Granderson that can lead off or bat second. That leads the league in home runs and is pretty much solidifying himself as a top 2 or 3 center fielder in all of baseball. So it's hard to to justify having Jeter batting up there, barely getting on base half the time. So if he starts to turn it on, good. I hope he does. But I'm not going to say one game proves that we were all wrong, because I have 8 months backing me up, whereas you're holding up one game as your backing. So
I wasn't
continues.
I wasn't arguing with you about it. I'm just saying, are you loosening the noose a little bit? But again, like I said,
hey, if he comes home on this homestand against the Royals and Red Sox, and he he puts up good numbers and they win, whatever. They take 2 out of 3 each series, I'll be thrilled, if he can keep it going. We'll see. We'll see if he carries it going.
No, I like, again, I'm using examples much worse than you. I mean, I got people saying he should be sent to Scranton. Who cares how he feels, stuff like that. But
I will say this. If, he's still struggling come the All-Star break, I'm not against them making a trade for a guy like Jose Reyes and making Jeter the utility guy. I'm not against it. If he's struggling. If he's batting 275, 280, and still playing good defense, I want him to be the starting shortstop. If he's, struggling big time and becoming a drain on the offense like he was the first month or so, then I'm all for a change at this point.
Well,
I want the best for the team. Now, I'm not into playing, favorites in games.
Well, I'll tell you something right now. You won't be dealing with Omar the tent maker. So if you want Jose Reyes, Sandy Allison's going to make you pay a pretty penny. So just expect that. Don't think you're going to be talking over Omar's head and he'll nod and giggle and you can give him 5 bums.
No,
just
we'll
to
see.
let you know. So, and then actually speaking of the Mets, there was a lot of talk about Reyes and him going to some teams. If he goes to the Yankees, fine. See, again, this is not me being a prototypical Met fan. It goes to the Yankees, fine. That means we only have to face him 6 times a year in 6 meaningless games in the beginning of the summertime, and he doesn't go to Philadelphia, or he doesn't go to Atlanta, or he doesn't go to St. Louis, and I got to deal with him 15 times, hitting 800 against us. If he goes to the Yankees, so be it. Have fun. I don't care. I'm not that kind of Met fan who has a hard-on for the Yankees. Never did, and other Met fans hate me for it, and I really don't care.
That's because you need a team to root for. Yours sucks so bad.
I slipped. See, now why do you got to do that? I'm trying to take the high road here. But anyways, now you're making all them right. So anyway, but but they're not the worst team in the league. San Diego was abysmal. They've already been shut out 8 times this year. The Padres.
Yeah, they have no offense. Last year was kind of a barrage. But no, your Mets are hanging in there. I mean, they're like a couple games worse than the Red Sox. So what do you know?
Yeah, exactly. I feel pretty good about that.
My Braves coming on a little bit, 7-3 in the last 10. So they're starting to turn things around as well.
They a lot of people I was talking about, that bullpen is on fire right now. And that kid, that lefty, I can't think of his name.
Why are you acting all surprised? Go back and listen to our MLB preview. Your boy called it. I told you how nasty the bullpen was.
No, I knew, but they hadn't been playing that way. The first month they'd been struggling.
When you start listening to me?
Eventually, I'm not even going to get called up to start the record. It'll be you and Reesh talking about waxing nostalgic, and I'll be...
Yeah, I don't like Reesh jumping on my Mavericks bandwagon, by the way. Where the fuck is that coming from?
See? Trouble in paradise is that what it is? No, I knew the Braves were going to... I didn't realize... I knew the starting pitching was good. I didn't really think the bullpen was that good. I knew the starting pitching was good and the lineup was going to be bad. And they're winning with Jason Hayward. He can't hit the ball in the ocean right now. He's batting like 120 in the last 3 weeks. It's the bullpen. I didn't think the bullpen, and I said it in the preview, I didn't think the bullpen was going to be this good, but it's been very good. And the starting pitching's been amazing. I didn't think Jurgens was going to have an ERA of 2.4. I thought they'd be good. I didn't think they'd be this good. And, Kruk thinks they're going to win the wild card and go to the World Series. They think they'll beat the Phillies in a best-of-7 series. And they conceivably could. But I'll tell you something. As much as I hate the team, do you really want to face Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee back-to-back in a postseason series?
No, definitely not. No, definitely not. But I think they can be beat. I think that team can. And, Cliff Lee's not having that great of a year right now. He's been struggling a little bit. Halladay's obviously been nasty, as, once again, your boy predicted. Would be the Cy Young.
Well, that wasn't a rocket science pick either.
But I mean, Lee, I'm not big on wins and losses, but he's 2-3, 3.69 ERA, 1.17 WHIP. So, he's not really delivering what everyone expected him to deliver.
Cole Hamels actually hasn't been too bad either. He's 5? Did he win? Did they win last night? The Phillies?
No, the Braves beat them.
Oh, okay, so what is he? 4-2, I think now. But again, wins and losses are irrelevant. It's all about ERA and getting guys on base, and run support's another issue too.
Yeah, I mean Halladay now on the other hand, 5-1, 2.19 ERA, 0.98 WHIP. So him on the other hand is delivering the goods.
Is a beast, exactly. But there's a lot of baseball left, and we'll keep it here. Keep it here to the place to be, and we'll give you your baseball fix.
But yeah, let's do switch gears quickly. I want to read the rest of this feedback and then give an update on the IC tournament.
Yes.
So the other feedback is our buddy Rob Houston's down for the trivia contest, which is cool. And so is Jason Greenhouse, one of our other big fans. So both of those guys so far have signed up for the trivia contest. Just to let you guys know, I want to make it clear, you don't need Skype. Generally, we do record via Skype, but for that show, we'll be all call-in. So what we'll do is just kind of collect phone numbers and then call you throughout the show when it's your turn to play. So we'll be setting that up for the summer. But if you're interested in the trivia contest and we're still determining the prize, it'll either be, like we said, a copy of a tape from my collection, or I kind of like the guest host idea too, to have someone on for a show to help us review an old pay-per-view or just something like that. And actually, our buddy Andy Flanagan suggested part of the trivia, in addition to being wrestling, should also be place to be podcast trivia. So maybe some tidbits from past episodes to see who the true fans are.
I like that idea.
So
I like that idea.
Maybe we'll do something like that. So a couple of things we mentioned already. Todd Weber wants to know why you are on a first-name basis with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I'll give you a quick 30 seconds or so to defend your position there.
I don't know. I just, for a long time, ever since I've been a fan, when we talk about him, I just call him Steve, because I think, I don't know, I can't call him Austin. I can't call him Stone Cold. I feel like because we've been wrestling fans for so long. I mean, I've been a wrestling fan for almost 28 years, and you've been a wrestling fan for almost 21.
So you started watching when you were 38?
I was. Oh God, that's awful. What is he? What is he IMing you? These jokes?
Come on, you leave yourself wide open for one.
I don't know. It just seems easy to just call him Steve. Like I call him Rock. I mean, we call Kurt Angle Kurt. We could call him Angle. We call him Kurt.
I guess.
So I don't know. I just call him Steve. It's easy. I feel like he deserves the reverence to just be called by his first name. There's so many.
Actually, reverence. You'd be calling him Mr. Austin if you really wanted to be reverent.
Well, if we were on Tough Enough, he'd want me to call him Sir.
Yes,
but that's it. It's just, I don't know. It's just a habit I have.
Did you enjoy the team playing against a team of midgets?
Yeah. It's funny. I was talking to our good friend Dr. G's wife, and one of the kids. There's a show on I don't know what, TLC or one of those channels, called Big People Little World. It's the family of midgets, and one of the sons.
So little people, big world, not big people, little world.
Oh, whatever, same thing. The reverse. Anyway,
actually, big people, little world would be pretty cool too.
It'd be a bunch of giants. But anyway, one of the sons in the Roloff family was on. They interviewed him. He's one of the kids that plays on the team, so she thought that was pretty funny. But
I thought he looked familiar.
Yeah, no, that was the episode last week. I haven't watched.
Okay.
Neither you nor I have watched this week's.
No.
Actually, the episode that's on right now after Raw was last week's.
Right. I hate how they do that. I wish they'd replay it, that same night. So, but I do like. I thought Booker had the line of the episode with the "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness" or whatever it was.
Yeah. No, because he's funny. And obviously, we could talk about it. Actually, let's do it very quickly. We didn't watch it last week, but last week's episode, Track Marks finally got the boot. Skid Marks, whatever his name is. Skid Marks finally got the boot. And
they give your boy Luke a little bit of a scare too.
Yeah, I don't think Steve. I'm sorry. I don't think Mr. Austin had any indication. I think they were just trying to scare him into being better.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless he said something pretty dumb, unless he mouthed off to Steve. Sorry, Todd. It's just going to happen. Unless he mouthed off to Steve or something at the end, I don't think I think they just wanted to scare him into. They know he's one of the best. Stop being such a douche. It's almost like looking at Orton 2005.
Yeah.
Like you're too good for the rest of us. That kind of thing.
Yep.
I don't think they have any intention of cutting him loose. And actually, our friend Matt Rotel and I were actually on. I forgot what website it is. I'll have to ask him. We found what federation Martin is in.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the name of it, but his name is something weird. It's like Chico something. It's not Martin. I don't think his first name is Martin. I think it's something else. But so I know it's any. I still like Luke the most. Although the kid Andy, the one that kind of looks like. He kind of looks like not Test. I don't know who he looks. I don't know who I could look, but I like him, the kid Andy.
He's coming on. He's kind of been silent.
Yeah.
So far, so I'm interested to see. I'll watch it tomorrow morning. Tonight's episode. The other thing I wanted to point out, obviously, was that if you look closely at the midget basketball team's bench, you can see Matt Rotella cheering them on as well. So.
Oh my God! Yes, I did. He does have his little pom pom.
All right, so just to quickly wrap things up as well, Todd Weber also asks a very interesting question: Who has a worse lazy eye, Shawn Michaels or Trish Stratus? Our buddy Rob Houston checked in and said he thinks it's Michaels because when you're looking at Trish, the last thing you're looking at is her lazy eye. Now, I'd have to go with Michaels. I haven't really noticed Trish's too much.
I didn't even realize she had a lazy eye. I'm watching her now. I don't see a lazy eye. Does she really have one? I can't even tell.
Michaels is atrocious. I mean,
Sean's
he makes Duggan look like fucking Fabio.
Duggan looks like he got hit in the back of the head with a bat. That's how messed up his is. And Sean's is pretty bad. I never really noticed it.
Yeah, his is definitely pretty awful. He basically is looking directly at his nose at this point.
It's terrible.
All right, and a final piece of feedback here is from Jason Greenhouse again about our SummerSlam 88 review. He said it's the only time he can think of that the announce team for MSG was not at ringside. Gorilla and Superstar called the action from one of the skyboxes.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
Which is kind of bizarre. But also, Survivor Series 02 was the Raw team. They were up in the platform, right?
Yeah, they were up in the platform, yes.
So they weren't at ringside then either.
King and Lawler were up. That whole layout was odd. You were there, so.
Yes.
It was, it did look kind of weird from the TV angle. Very unusual layout.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, he's absolutely right. Gorilla and Superstar were it did make the announcing I don't think the announcing would have been any better if it was a ringside, to be honest with you. So I don't know.
All right, so before we wrap up, I just want to give the update on the place to be greatest Intercontinental Champions tournament. The first round has wrapped up, with the second round began last night. So what I'm going to do is just quickly read the first round results on here for everyone. In the Jack Tunney bracket, Pedro Morales defeated Albert 20-0. In the closest first round match, Ken Shamrock just edged Dolph Ziggler 10-9. The Ultimate Warrior defeated Mark Merrow 19-0. Diesel defeated Ken Patera 11-9, so a bit of an upset there. Goldust over Val Venus 19-0. Chris Benoit defeated Road Dogg 12-5. Savage over Wade Barrett 16-0, and Orton over Roddy Piper 9-0. So that's that bracket. In the Gorilla Monsoon bracket, Rick Rude defeated Rey Mysterio 19-2. Mr. Perfect over Rikishi 21-0. Patterson shut out Lance Storm 19-0. Edge defeated Carlito 18-1. Curious who the hell voted for Carlito. Don Morocco beat Test 18-1. Steamboat beat John Morrison, which I thought was kind of an upset as well, 11-6. I think Morrison's title reigns are kind of underrated, to be honest.
I agree.
RVD beat JBL 12-5, and Double J beat Ahmed Johnson 8-1. In the McMahon bracket, We saw Bret Hart beat Billy Gunn 17-2. Somehow Billy Gunn got 2 votes. William Regal defeated Drew McIntyre 12-7. Jeff Hardy over China 16-3. Shelton over Umaga 15-5. Tito shut out Marty Jannetty 19-0. Owen over Kofi Kingston 10-6. Close match there. Closer than I expected.
Yeah.
Rock defeated Booker T 17-0. And Christian defeated your buddy Steve 8-1.
Steve's title reigns, IC reigns. Well, I mean, it really was nothing. I mean, he won it at SummerSlam, but he messed up his, the whole neck thing, so he barely defended it. And then he won it at Survivor Series, had it for a month, and then dropped it anyway. So his reigns weren't much of anything.
And then in the Bischoff bracket, Triple H defeated D'Lo Brown 17-1. Chris Jericho over Texas Tornado 20-0. Shawn Michaels over Godfather 19-0. Eddie Guerrero over CM Punk 14-5. Honky Tonk Man beat the British Bulldog 18-1. Kurt Angle over Ric Flair 15-2. Razor Ramon over Kane 15-1. And Greg Valentine over Santino 7-2. So there's the first round update for anyone who's still awake or cares. That is where we're at there. So second round's just beginning. So hop over and vote. Those matchups, 4 matches are up now, and the rest will continue throughout the week. So
one more thing I want to bring up. I didn't notice it earlier, but we are doing a place to be fantasy wrestling league. What we're doing is you're drafting your own roster of guys, and you're picking guys based on the number of times they'll be on television. You get points for wins. It's a typical fantasy league. I believe those 2 slots are still open, correct?
Yeah, the problem is if you get in now, though, you can do the makeup picks, but the draft has already started, so you're going to be behind the 8 ball a little bit. But yeah, definitely come over if you're interested. Place to be message board at bigelow34.proboards.com, and definitely leave us your feedback as well. Facebook.com/place to be podcast. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up now. Yep. We're already kind of hitting our high point. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. We tried to bring the energy for you tonight, and we will be back later this week, hopefully with the Survivor Series 1988 Vintage Vault, and then back next week with the headlines and the pay-per-view picks as well. So one last time, we'll remind Scott that the Lakers suck, and we're going to go ahead. I am Justin Rosero, and this is the Place to Be.
Night, Steve.
Damn it, screw that all up.